Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. This is another weekly update for the top 10 LEGO MOCs that I just happened to see this week. There's some really cool ones, definitely a lot that are sort of Christmas themed. That's what a lot of people seem to be putting out, and there's some really great ones. At the end of the episode, I am going to show pictures of fan MOC submissions. There were a ton of people that added MOCs this week. I mean, like over 50. So if they fly by a little bit fast, let me know. If there's a lot of people submitting a ton, I might just make a separate episode. Let me know what you think about that. And if you want to submit a MOC of your own to the episode for next Sunday, you can check the link in the description below for the email and try to make those pictures high resolution. But let's start off the top 10 with a marvelous Xmas, or Marvelous Christmas. That's the name of this build, and perhaps you can guess why. This is a Marvel-themed Christmas display, and this was built by Milan Sekiz. I've left a link for the Flickr account for this builder, as well as the links for all the top 10 builders here, and I highly recommend that you check those pages out. Now, there's a lot to like about this build. It is with the holiday season, but there's definitely their own twist. The builder put their own twist on it. Namely, I think my favorite part is the fact that Hulk is holding up the Christmas tree itself. He fits the proportion of the tree trunk very well, and it's also, well, very much in character. And speaking of that, you can tell that a lot of the figures are actually doing something very much like what their characters might be doing. We've got some Guardians of the Galaxy guys in the front dancing to some music. As far as you know, Gamora doesn't dance. And there's Spider-Man with a Christmas tree spiderweb. That's a really sort of clever way that they built that up. And there's some other things to notice along the way when you're looking at this build a bit more closely. Anyways, great first build. Let's check out the next one. I believe the English translation to this build is Hands, and I feel bad that I can't pronounce the Russian name of the builder who did this, but it is absolutely incredible. This is definitely a piece that blurs the line between something that might be fun or very well designed, and it actually being an art piece. We've got these somewhat invisible hands that are floating in the air, and they have definitely been covered in some kind of oil or very thick ink. You can tell because the drips that are coming down are sort of long, and you know, water or other liquidy-er liquids wouldn't leave something like that. But it's just a great composition, kind of morbid, you know, with the shiny black and the bright red backdrop. I thought it was a very, very striking image, and a build like this not only requires a very good knowledge of sort of the capability of Lego pieces, but also a very clear image of what exactly they wanted to achieve and how they wanted to achieve it in terms of sort of a look. I think it's excellent. And we're moving on to the next build, a little bit more happy. We've got a build called Santa's Super Sleigh by Frost. Well, the tagline on the Flickr account says, "Reindeer, where we're going, we don't need any reindeer," but I'm not sure if that is the actual title of the build. Anyways, it is a wonderful looking sleigh, definitely some kind of fun, wacky, futuristic jets on the top, and we've got a big, huge control panel that is operating the whole darn thing. It certainly has a Dr. Seuss kind of feel to the whole thing, at least in my eyes, but in this build, there isn't a curve or angle that doesn't match up very nicely. Everything is smooth and sleek and kind of fun, very cartoony. It really does feel like it was pulled right out of an actual cartoon. In fact, now that I'm talking about it, I hope this isn't based on something like a TV show I don't know about. Anyways, this is a picture of it flying over a snowy city, maybe a Christmas town, and it looks like we're going to be changing gears once again. Now, this is a builder that I've been following for so long that even though this is a brand new design and got different kinds of building techniques, I was able to guess who built this before I checked the tag on it, and this is a build by Moko. The name is kind of ridiculously long. It is XF348991 Behemoth. Well, not that long of a name, but a little bit complicated with all those numbers. This is such a cool robot. There's a lot of nice techniques that are thrown in here that are extremely advanced, and there's certain bits of Lego that are put together in ways that I have not quite yet seen before. Namely, I like the upturned ski pieces used as toes and fingers on the arms and feet, and I think this is Moko's original design on piston pieces. Those are tubes that are cut and I think bars that are on the inside. I'm not sure if she was the first one to do it. This is the first time I've seen it, and when you look at how the torso is connected, you can tell that they're actually weight-bearing. At least those ones must be, because there's hardly anything really keeping the top half of the robot on. Must be well-balanced, to say the least. And I think there's also also evidence of the nice balancing, considering this thing is so highly posable. If you think this build is cool, I highly suggest you click the link and check out her Flickr. The awesomeness of this robot is by no means an anomaly for this builder, and she's got a ton more cool stuff going on over there. But let's move on to more Christmas stuff. And what I really mean is Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. This is by Cesar Soares. Here there are two different compositions, two different scenes really from the Nightmare Before Christmas movie. Such an awesome movie, so much nostalgia for me as just a person, but the building here is awesome. And there is one particular technique, this is not actually part of the Sleigh, which is a little bit more Christmassy, but the vignette here has some of the most ridiculous stone inlay building techniques that I've seen. Now the street portion has a pretty similar build technique as the wedge pieces that we saw from that big build last Sunday, but the cobblestone pieces, and I actually had to check my Marvel minifig collection just to make sure, double make sure, but all those cobblestone pieces are made up of Thor's hammers. A ton of Thor's hammers. I mean, granted, that piece was used for other stuff than just Thor's hammer, but anyways, that's how I know the piece, and he got a ton of them to make up the build. Anyways, the car is great. It looks super animated, very, very cartoony or claymation-y. It looks like it does in the movie, and I like the long, skinny body used with the tubes. They bend up a bit with the joints, which doesn't look excellent, but actually his arms kind of thinned out at the elbows anyways in the movie. Doesn't matter. The coffin Christmas sleigh build is pretty much spot on from what I can remember, and I was not expecting the skeleton reindeer to look nearly as good as they do. This is one awesome set of builds here, and we are moving on. We're moving on to a very small build, but a very, very cool looking one. I really like this. This is just a custom made minifigure scale motorcycle. It's called Nobu and his Honda Ahoudori, and the builder name is Fabs. And now the build itself, it's very likely that this came from a video game or a movie or a show. I do not know the character, I do not know the bike, I just know that I like it a lot. It's pretty much just for display. The wheel pieces are just black lifesavers that are attached by robot arms, so they do not spin around at all. I'm sure you could kind of slide it around a table if you really wanted, but just in terms of display, the set is awesome. The character that goes along with it is awesome. A couple of those pieces are probably brick arms custom molds, I have a feeling. And let me just say, when I discovered this build, I was really surprised because Fabs has a ton of awesome, really cool, like little hover bikes and a lot of spaceships, very unique designs. I wish I discovered this builder earlier. I've been doing this for quite a while, but that just goes to show how many awesome people are doing great things, and you just keep on discovering these sort of gems. Check out the Flickr. And we're moving on to another boat. I don't think we've got any Christmas things left for the episode, but we are moving on to something that is awesome. It's a little bit older than a week old, at least in terms of uploading to the internet. This is called Whale Island by Delayice. Now talk about a Lego build that tells a story. We've got a green whale. It's so cool. It makes me think that it's either covered with grass or algae or moss or something like that. And I mean, the giveaway is the fact that we've got flowers and rocks and stuff growing on top of the whale. And if you haven't noticed, there is a waterfall that is actually flowing down right behind one of the fins. This is just such a creative build. It kind of reminds me of like a Miyazaki character or something, or the fact that we've got a flowing waterfall on a creature that is probably swimming underwater. It's like water inside of water, like a SpongeBob show or something. I don't know. There's just cool stuff going on. It looks like that mouth might be able to open up. Actually, no, scratch that. It probably doesn't, but the building technique is wonderful. It's very stylistic. It's very kind of specific with a good proportion of tile pieces and showing studs. And I know if you click the link onto this person's Flickr, there is another wonderful fantasy build, also very much telling stories. Anyways, I don't want to get hung up too long on all this other stuff. Here's our next build, a tiny vignette called Uboat in a Minefield by Ciamoslaw Ciamek. I don't know how to pronounce the name, but anyways, wonderful, great action shot here. It captures, well, the terror of the characters and the rough seas of the waves. You can see the bricks have been built on top of each other and then stacked with transparent cheese wedge pieces to show that the waves really are kind of bumbling around. I always thought those mines were underwater. Anyways, they look great sticking out above, and this U-boat is just kind of barely dodging them. Basically, there's a lot fit into a little space. And the next build is a 1964 Ford Country Wagon by Luke C. This is a build that kind of caught my eye because it seems like sort of a better version of the surf vehicle that we just got from the Beatles creator not that long ago. great detailing that makes up that bumper, definitely one of the more telling features of any car, and you really get an idea for how big these giant wagons really were back then. The surfboard hardly even sticks out at all on the roof. In fact, it looks small on the roof. Anyways, it's a great looking car, and it's just something that I could kind of imagine as a wonderful creator set from Lego, but this is the very last build. This is called Crusader's Castle by Kalais. Now, everything here is extremely clean and well put together. I'm not sure if I see any building techniques that are particularly different from other ones from the past, but I can appreciate the scene that's set up. We've got some skeleton warriors that are hopping across the bridge that it seems to be drawing up. I don't think it's coming down in this situation, considering it looks like a siege. We've got an undead army waiting across the water, and it's just a good old castle build. I don't know what else to say about that. But guess what? It is time for the fan mock creations. Tons of people submitted stuff. We've got a bunch of great builds, a lot of creativity. If you guys want to send in your own mock to show up for next week on Sunday, the email is, I think, brickvaultfanmocs@gmail.com. Anyways, the link is there. And for the time being, I think I'm just gonna stop talking and let these fan mocks run by.